So since you on, man, go back to the that question I asked about if you had to pay every time to see a single
Whaley,
female MMA
Whaley,
fighter. Let's go with just
come
UFC.
on, let's be real. Let's be real. Let's be real, okay? Like Whaley's the only one out there that you're paying to see fight right now, just because they
That's true.
market her the right way. All these other
Yeah,
girls that you see fighting, they're like, WWE when they have these filler fighters back in the day. Like that's what these girls remind me of. Like none of them has worked on their brand. Your skills, but that's just half the package of being a complete UFC fighter. That's why you have like all these PFL leagues and Invicta because they're not marketable. Like they're just good fighters, And if you're a purist, that's good for you. You can enjoy it. But as for the average fighter, like they're looking for superheroes. You know what I'm saying? Like people that are like of the norm. Out of the norm. That's what's really selling this sport. That's what I'm saying. We've grown so much. Like we were accepting average Joes back in the day when it came to UFC one and all that. But nowadays, like
you still there? I think six got cut off.
people just
Did
come.
you?
But
You can hear
Oh,
me?
he's
you
back.
still there?
You can hear me?
Go ahead, brother.
Yo.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm just saying like people pay to see Freak of Nature. Like you know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is right now. Like people want to see King Kong versus Godzilla. People don't want to see like what I'm saying? If it's not ringing bells, it's like okay, I'll wait till you get your time. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is. Like that's just for the average viewer. For purists, yeah, I like to see them come up because we like it's like collecting shoes. You like to get shoes before what I'm saying it gets hype. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Yeah.
like a collector. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a purist. I like to watch people growing up talent, but if I were to pay for anything, I'm paying for that like showstopper match. Get my money's worth. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just the real. Like you're not going there to pay like there's shows like people put on like average artists that will put out regular shows. You know what I'm saying? They're going out there
Hmm.
to perform for free just to get recognition. That's what I feel like. And then they haven't made it to the stage. That's the transition of being a star. You have to build your brand for me to appreciate what you've done. Other than that, you're doing what everyone else is doing. You haven't got yourself out the pits. You know what I'm saying? Like there's two types of people. You're either in the crowd serving people, or you're on stage. Showing up. You know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of these fighters are still in the pits. You know, like until you grow your brand, like I feel sorry for Valentina. You know what I'm saying? That girl has so much talent, but you know what I'm saying? Like even Nunes, an interview, like what's Valentina as a champion doing now? Like, oh well, she's 125, okay. You know what I'm saying? But there's nothing like, oh, like I have relatives that don't even watch for it. They be like, oh, I like that Chinese girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, but
Uh-huh.
do you know Valentina? Like that girl's showstopper. Who? Like who is that? Like that's what I'm getting. So it's like if I tell an average person, then I know what's ringing bells. It's like a household name. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some people that their skills is like like you don't get marketed right, you're just a good idea that's being slipped in the cracks, and that's what's going on with Valentina. She's just a good that's being slipped, like being overlooked, because she's been in for so long, but her marketing was more like just for the fight. It wasn't more like marketing. Like we coming to an age where you got to be like a McGregor, you got to be like a to sell yourself in this main stage. You understand what I'm saying? Like you can't be like look at the good example is look what happened to with Kobe Covington. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Look how that guy had to change. You know what I'm saying? Like
Well,
this is it's
I
just
mean, and you
it's real.
can,
It's just realistically. It's realistically. You want to make
yeah,
money. Like you don't
it's
want you
other
don't want to
ones you
be
can name. Like, if you want to look at the men's side, you know,
yeah.
Patty. I mean, he's got a bad
Oh
rap
yeah,
this last week, but Patty the Batty, he's the same way. He's trying to sell a product, and his
exactly.
fighting
That's
is just is a part of that product.
look at the. That's what I'm saying. The new
Juliana
generation. We're
Pena.
we're in Web 3 right now. You know what I'm saying? So these guys are understanding independent brands. Sean O'Malley's doing that. You know what I'm saying? A
Hmm.
lot of these new generational fighters are taking advantage of the airwaves and marketing through their own phone. That's what I'm saying. Whaley's doing that with her training. What other all these other fighters? Valentina could have took advantage of that with all her training too, long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not new. None of this is new. It's just that like There's just people that strategically planned how we're gonna come out. And I told you, when you're a star fighter, you're not just a star fighter. You have the whole UFC and organization behind you to get you there. They did it with
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey. They did it with McGregor. You know what I'm saying? That's why they'll shrug you off. That's what I'm saying. Like if you're still good, they don't give a shit. Like fuck. Like you're like that little, like the way they say, you're like that penny on that table. Like there's so many people that they can get. But you know what I'm saying? Like if you're not doing what they want you to do, they're just gonna replace you and put their machine behind another investment. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's that's just real. That's the reality. That's what I'm saying. Like Val is just frustrated right now because she's in a division that the UFC know they got to keep that girl because that girl's a pure fighter. You know what I'm saying? But they can't find anyone in that weight class to even like give her a Godzilla or a King Kong type of matchup. They have no prospects when it comes down to it. And you know who's taking advantage of all those women fighters? The ONE FC. ONE FC because the growth size and difference is better out there in the East. There's too many big girls out in West out here that are trying to fight, you know, and
Yeah.
none of them are not being put out, you know, like, and it's just I feel that a lot of the ones that are actually getting out here are reaching their time. They're long before time because either the girls that have prospects that could fight in the UFC are already in the out east, already fighting out there already, making a name for themselves, you know, because out here in the West they weren't even prioritizing women fighting. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that. It was just until Ronda Rousey started showing that off. You know, Ronda Rousey and Dana White knew he wanted to make that was that franchise that could start to open women's league. You know, because in reality, it's like, yeah, like there are more average girl fighters there are than startups. You know, like it's just reality. You know, like in men, it's just been built. It's just whether you want to argue it or not, it's the truth. You know, but yeah, you know,
So what
like
do you
I
think?
said, like go ahead.
What do you think? So what do you think is something that these fighters can do to?
I know the best thing I told you what I think is they need to organize. They need to get the hell out of this thinking about UFC and UFC start to becoming like stables and all these divisions and start putting up broadcasting money, franchise money, bet against like we're breeding these fighters to compete with ONE FC fighters. We're competing against PFL to put up their fighters. So now you're getting to sign to organizations that franchise you like franchise fighters, like how boxing does it. That will bring the whole life to everything. Now you get these organizations really like a bargaining for broadcasting rights as well as marketing their brand, their stables. You know, now you're really paying. You know what I'm saying? And winner gets. You know, it's like how they did boxing, like WBC, WBOY. You know, that's the way I feel that the way these MMA fighters should start organizing. Like you have Eagle FC out there. Why do you think all these other UFC fighters are going other different divisions? Because there's more opportunity. So why not one of these rich ass motherfucker from Dubai put together the league like it's like a kumite? You know what I'm saying? Where of organizations. That's the only way it'll bring more life. Other than that, you're gonna be sucked into like you're fighting in Rome, like you know, and you're fighting with the people, not only just on the fighter, but you're also fighting against the organization. You know what I'm saying? It's never a fair fight. You all fighting in Las Vegas. You know how crooked those judges are since boxing. Like you know what I'm saying? They need to fight it somewhere like you know where it's organization where like that's why Wei Lee when she comes over here, it's a different mentality. You know, like it's like you when you fight, there's like you don't know who knows who when you're fighting somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So like it should be more widely spread. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're in an organization, it's like how they have WWF and WWE and all those guys you know, until they all started to make understand like putting everything together and sharing broadcasting rights and understanding how to cut it both ways can be a bigger um, profitable and more you can sell it better. You know, now I just feel like certain organizations are only filling spaces just to fill divisions. You know what I'm saying? It's not
So
even like it's like they need to maintain something and grow something, but they're not getting the selections. You know, they're not getting good recruiters. You know, they're not going deep into certain places that they can't go into. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, like the UFC has a lot to grow. Why do you think so many brands have been parting away now? Why do you think all these other guys be like they understand that UFC isn't it doing right? And look, you can't tell me that you appreciate what the UFC is doing by underpaying all these fighters. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. That's what I'm saying. Like now, these organizations need to come together and Trump, or get UFC to work together with all of them. You know what I'm saying? Which ONE FC is already doing right now. ONE FC is already trumping UFC. That's what I'm saying. Like when it
Yeah,
comes to viewership, because they have more. Remember, East Asia is a bigger population than in the West, so they're attracting more different viewers based on different styles. They market Muay Thai, they market grappling, all in one organization. So if you like, you know what I'm saying, like that's something that UFC is just straight MMA, mixed martial arts. There's no, and even back in the day, it was even better when you had to like fight more than once on cards. You know what I'm saying? That was the real shit with no fucking weight classes, no nothing. You know what I'm saying?
so
Like that was like okay.
I'm about to read something that TJ just said. And he said he's too busy drinking and having a good time to come on, but he said something pretty damn profound. He said,
Okay.
how are any of us any different than a casual if the only organization we watch is UFC? Dana has tricked so many so-called hardcore fans into thinking people like the listeners is being in the top tier.
Exactly. Like look at people like when what's her name? Valeska Machado won that belt. Okay, when she won that belt, the first thing she said was like, "Yo, I just wanted to bring light to more girls that are where I'm from." You know what I'm saying? Because they haven't seen where there are more dangerous girls where I'm from that fight. So you just want to put her name out there. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of these like a lot of these fighters are becoming are going into the UFC just based on relationships that their organizers have around the world, and they only have certain parts of the world, so they haven't like experienced all these other fighters that are dug deep. Like I'm talking like diamonds in the rough type fighters. You know what I'm saying? Like there are people out there that you'll find them in the rural areas that aren't competitors. Like that's how Manny Pacquiao had to look at Manny Pacquiao as a prime story of he had to go into the city to get people to recognize his talent. That's what I'm saying. What Wei Li's doing right now to bring is because she's bringing, because in Asia, like a girl fighting isn't like isn't a regular thing. You know what I'm saying? But because it isn't it wasn't a competitive thing. But Wei Li bringing light to that brings more. It's like people like to follow that. Oh, that can be me. That can be me. Like that's what is coming. Like that's what I appreciate what Wei Li is doing for the UFC right now. Like y'all can knock her for her skills. I like honestly tell you the truth. I still think that she still needs work. But at the end of the day, she's a prime example of when I see her achieve what others have doubted her to do. It makes me more proud to see that like I never doubted this girl because this girl was always feeling that she will get on top, and she was the best thing that she ever overcame was those losses that she lost in the U.S. because it's a different crowd, it's a different animal. You know what I'm saying? Having when the appreciation of the sport in the East is totally different than the appreciation of the sport in the West. You know what I'm saying? Money, glitz, and glory is all in the West. You know what I'm saying? That's what it
But
comes down to.
so so let me ask you this: when you're talking about Wei Li and what she's
Yeah.
doing for the sport and how
Hmm.
she's maybe able to push WMMA to a
Yep.
community that may not have um, been exposed prior to her rise.
Yep. Yep.
Wouldn't you say? But so UFC, her fighting in the UFC has been the thing that's done that.
No, it's not. It's not her fighting in the UFC. It's the marketing that behind her being in the machine of the UFC. The UFC is the biggest organization when it compares to the ONE FC in there. So
Right.
when an American it's like going to Hollywood. You're signed to Hollywood. You're the first MMA woman fighter that's making big name ringing in Hollywood. That's what UFC
Mm-hmm.
is. I don't look at it as like, oh, it's like the elite league. No, it's Hollywood. That's Hollywood when it comes down to all the all the division, all the organizations. It's not the best
Right.
organization with the best selection of fighters. It's the best machine to have behind you if you want to become a prize fighter at this point in time. But then look at Khabib. He understands. Like when you graduate from the system, then you establish what he did in that organization. You're open up to open more paths for yourself. That's what Joanne is doing now. Why do you think Joanna ain't letting go of just being part? Because she doesn't want to be away from that organization of business and networking. That's what I'm saying. Like that's the reason. Like that's the number one reason people still want to look for their own financial well-being after fighting. You know what I'm saying? And the UFC, because of its global status and being the first to do it and being the still standing to do it, it's like you know, like when they say it's a good thing to get a good job in a good company. Well, the UFC as a prize fighter is a good thing. That's why all these youngins, like you see Rosas, Rosas going into the UFC. You know what I'm saying? Because he's grew up in seeing all these like people going in there. But when he gets older, he'll understand. Like, look, wait until like this whole MMA starts to graduate. It's still building levels, especially when now there's all these arguments about fighter pay. And in reality, there's going to be something that's going to be done about that. That's why I appreciate when you have people like Jake Paul being like he's basically mocking the sport. You know, it's like mocking the sport, being like, look, I can make a whole division and pay and it's just a recipe that I feel that the UFC should be using that like that. As he's in Nate Diaz should be on that trip right now too, marketing his brand, be like, yo, I'll fight. Look, this how like Mayweather is doing. I'll go out there and fight your best fighter. You know what I'm saying? Independently market yourself as establishing your name in a big and but first establish your name. You know, and that's what I think UFC gives you that platform. So when people start to learn that, you'll start to grow the game more. You know, like that's the only way you succeed in this thing because at the end of the day you become a robot in the UFC and not everything is ended nice, you know. So look at Rampage, look at all the elite fighters that built UFC. None of them even the only real person that really is like friendly with Dana White is Chuck Liddell. You know what I'm saying? Randy Couture, you know, Vitor Belfort built that. You know, Hoist Gracie. Come on, man. What happened to the first Shamrock? You know what I'm saying? Chemo. None of those guys are ever there that built that that organization. You know what I'm saying? Because Dana White, like you said, when you grow, you're not you start to realize your worth. So they have to like keep marching on, you know, marching to the drum, you know. But like as a fighter,
So
when I like how Mayweather was the one that started the fact of knowing your worth as a fighter, as a person combatant, one-on-one combatant, know your worth, you know. And when people understand it, you become your agent. But you have to start somewhere. You have to build your brand. If you ain't building your brand, you will still be fighting for like look at Cannonier saying like I'm broke. I'm still fighting because I'm broke because you know like yo like you're a prize fighter. You're fighting, fight for your living. You know what I'm saying? Like come on, like yo like what we need to learn more. Like the UFC is going to kick you out because they'll replace you anyway. When you can't look at what they did with Frazier. Look at the Frazier story. You know the Frazier was fat ass broke. You know like this guy had to like the world did that guy dirty. Ali did that guy dirty. You know. So I don't know, man. I just have a lot like I have a lot to say because I've seen like like this sport is grown, but like people aren't acknowledging where it needs to go. They're just like enjoying the show. You know what I'm saying? I'm a purist at heart, but I do like understand like certain matches that will rev my engine that I understand what that will that what people will really like, but like I do like to sit at home by myself or and watch other matches that people wouldn't watch just because I just like the sport. I like this watching the sport. I'd rather watch combat sports than any other sport out there because it's based on you and that's the number one of the hardest sports I feel. Like it can't compare to team sports. Like it's just something that it's just me. But
I
yeah,
agree
man,
with
well,
you.
I
I'm a
can keep
football player.
rambling on.
Well, no, you've been. I think you hitting a lot of things on the head, man. And you obviously have the chat. Um, you have the chat's attention. Um, but so you talked about like from the organizational side. But what do you think the individual fighters can do to transcend the UFC, right? So
I'll
move
listen
on
to
from being
I'll let
a
you
part of the machine.
I'll let you compare it to this, okay? When a record label gives you a 360 deal, okay?
Hmm.
They give you a deal for you. You got to pay that money, so they pay you in advance. So if the UFC is giving you a platform, you better start utilizing that by going to all your organize or whatever you need to do to get get that return on investment. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these fighters just don't have a plan. Like so they let their skills. They learn to when they get to the end of the career, now they're not fighting their best because they're worried financially being financially stable. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't make it the first few checks weren't as promising didn't become as promising as their last few checks. That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. Like what they need to do is learn to work on themselves as if they don't need the UFC. That's the way you need to attempt. Don't go into the UFC thinking you need them. That's how you succeed. You know what I'm saying? Like these people going to the UFC, like, yo, I want the UFC to need me. No, 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 I want the UFC that I can do this in the UFC. No, you want the UFC to want you to be in on these cards. They want you like, yo, you want to fight again? All right, come, go fight. You know, like, and then you start working on your brand doing that. You know, like Kamzat is a look. That's why Kamzat is doing what he's doing. Like that's how he's drawing attention to himself. And you know, like he just make like I'll fight anybody. That's what people want to see. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, do it then. You know, you that's more money in your check. Whatever you want to do with them, I can't control what you do with your winnings or whatever. But if you're not growing your brand and you're feeding to your coaches and your team and stuff like that, that's your loss. Like, you know, there's more than just being a fighter than just making money. You know, like you got to learn to work. Like you're a brand, you're a role model, you're a representation of like, you know, like what to do as a fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like, can you for like you don't listen to a fat kid for you know, like a diet. You know what I'm saying? Like you listen to you know what I'm
That's true.
saying? Like you go to a gym. You go. Why do you think all these people turn to Ali Abdiziz as their coach or whatever as their manager now?
That
You know,
man.
because you got to surround yourself with champions. You know, like to grow. Like none of these guys and all these people are on different divisions. You know what I'm saying? Different organizations. That's what I'm saying. Like think like that. You know what I'm saying? If you think like that, you won't lose, no matter whether you lose in that ring. You know what I'm saying? Like you will never lose. People, bad press is also good press at the end of the day, as long as your name is still ringing in those in the grapevine. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah.
what it comes down to.
Hey, let me
Like
ask
that's
you
what I
this,
told you.
Craig.
Like that. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
What do you think of the business moves of somebody like Joanna? Like, shouldn't a lot of women follow like the
She's good. She's
yeah,
good because you know what? She's not letting it go because
yeah.
she can still like she's doing what Misha Tate is doing. Like you know, like Misha Tate will be a spokesman for a little bit. Oh, here, let me hype up, let the UFC hype up a fight that I'll get into just so I can put some extra money in my pocket, but I still maintain, you know, doing my interviews as being an ambassador for the brand. You know, so she's still maintaining as being an ambassador of the brand. You're still sustaining a living financially. You know what I'm saying? That's the common sense behind everything. Like you're not going to attach to anything that's not making you money, especially as a fighter. Like the fighters usually they have a whole team thinking for them. That's what I'm saying. But then the fighters that really like show that's what really was going on with their life. It shows on with their career now. You know what I'm saying? Like they had a team that they depended on to do all their decisions for them. But when the money wasn't coming in no more, like those they have to make the decisions on their own. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you have like fighters like look at fucking Holyfield. I told you, look at Frazier. Read the Frazier. Look at the Frazier story. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that. You know what I'm saying? Like these people don't give a fuck about that guy. But this guy was like, you know, on top of the world at one point. You know what I'm saying? Like they people will do you dirty, but if you don't know how to manage yourself, you know, and that's what I like what Mayweather brought to the fucking table was you are you can do a lot work without these agents for you. You know what I'm saying? That's why you have Javante leaving him. You know what I'm saying? You have Terrence Crawford leaving. You know,
Yeah.
like yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Like you got
Yeah,
to
'cause they
make these
getting the big
decisions.
money. Yeah, he trying to get that
Yeah,
10
like you,
million.
you're
So,
you are the show. You are these athletes have to understand that you are the new Hollywood stars. People are so big into being fucking healthy and competitive now that it's a rush right now. You know what I'm saying? Like it's bigger than Hollywood. Some of these stars, some of these athletes, they've become bigger than Hollywood stars. Like Rock, like you know, like the athletes. It's just a level that you need to build. Like Pacquiao, like you know, these guys are worldly appreciated. You know what I'm saying? Like if you understand that brand, how to brand yourself that way, there's a lot of success for you in what you're doing. You know, it's just that's the one thing. Like, don't just think like a fighter. You know, like that will get you there to a point, but you know, think outside of what you want to do outside of fighting too. That's what I appreciate. You know, that's what I like to see because at the end of the day, you're just a fighter to me, unless you learn to transition yourself. You know, because talent is one thing, but like you're not showing anything new. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like old school. That's like old school boxing. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not looking like I'm a purist. I love appreciating all that stuff, but like look at LeBron. Like you know, LeBron was bred in this. People were following this guy with cameras when this guy was in church league, and they all look at him like bigger than Jordan. Jordan, they never had that type of spotlight on. They never groomed these kids like that. You know what I'm saying? So any athlete that never grew in the 80s or 90s, 70s or whatever that you see right now are getting groomed. That's why I told you like the marketing right now with Web3 is so it should be utilized more for these art for that's how I always say to people, like, for music, you don't need a record label. Your phone is your record label. That's exactly what I say for these athletes out there. Your phone is pretty much your interactiveness with your audience, you know. And Whaley's taking advantage of that.
Who do you think right now has the potential at flyweight to like really grab a hold of like an opportunity they have right now, like in the top 10?
Okay,
Like,
with what's going on right now, with okay, so no one right now. I'll tell you that right now. But the only person that can go with the weight that's going on right now is Tyler Santos, just
okay,
because of her last thing that she did with Valentina. That's the only thing. Like, people want to see who can try the champ. No one else wants to care. No one cares about, oh, you're a good fighter in that league, but can you beat the champ? No. You know, like, there's no one there. There's UFC. That's the UFC's fault. They never, you like, you know, they built a division for Valentina, right? Hoping that they would find, you know, people, but they're getting more luck in the strawweight division than they are in finding recruiting fighters for the flyweight division. You know what I'm saying? So that's just something that, you know, it's a gamble that they took, you know, and they're still trying to hold on to it right now. And unless they, you know, start digging up people in the East, like, where I find that size is probably more like, remember, like, the size difference in the weight classes is different in one championship than it is, like, they fight 10 pounds heavier. So when they say like 125, it's like 150. I believe it's some different weight. The weights are different, right? So you'll find more of the sizable people in the Far East there than you do out here. Or if it's either that, or like the USC still needs to put some more recruiters out there, because they're not doing their job. And for a big organization trying to build something, especially what they did to Mighty Mouse, because of, you know, Dana White didn't like that division. You know, now he's leaning towards building a women's division. You know, like, you need to you need to get more people behind it to build that division for some. They're just letting that. They're letting they're watching the sink ship with Valentina. You know what I'm saying? Because that would have been a prize franchise fighter for them if they knew how to market her. Because she also has, like, she's also, her brand is just like Wei Lee's. You know what I'm saying? It's just that she didn't brand it like that, but the UFC didn't know what to do with that, because the opponents putting her against Nunes, you know, was a bit too size. And she even says herself, like, she's not, her best potential is fighting at 125. She will never go down, and she will only, like how people say Whaley will go up in weight class. She only did Nunes this to go up the weight class, because who else is she going to fight? She need to stay busy. She need to take on whatever the UFC feels they're going to put in front of her. Like, look, we need to put this, because we don't have good challengers for you at 125. So we give you this opportunity. You're dominating. So that's what she took, you know. But in reality, it's like, Valentina doesn't want to fight at 135. She don't want to fight there. She wants 125. She wants to reign there, which she's doing right now. But it's just the UFC's failure to put, you know, put that spunk in that division. You know, put that spotlight on that division, because they haven't put anyone in there. Like, who do
right.
you feel is has the next structure in flyweight? Like, I haven't heard anybody. I haven't seen anybody. I like a couple people that fight a certain way, you know, but like, no one. I'd be like, yo, if they were to fight like at Valentina on a good day, like, no way these people are standing in front of that girl, you know. So that's the
I mean,
reality about it.
yeah, I really don't see anybody like pulling in the same type of financial success like Joanna right now, even on that level, even definitely not on Wei Lee's level. But there's some fighters I think could capitalize on it. Like you said, you know, they also have to look outside of the UFC. That's the thing that Joanna did. Because when I heard this one interview with Dana White, and you know, it just hit me in the head, because it was like, I know Joanna was, you know, good with hers, but you know, whenever he was talking about her, like as far as prolonging her comeback, which she was already out for like over a year and a half, he was like, "Oh, Joanna's good. She's got millions." You know what I mean? He was just like, you
Mhm.
know, you don't even have to worry about her. Like, you
But
knew she
you,
was into
go ahead.
something else too. You know, she had that mind for that. But yeah, for me, like, there's a lot of fighters I could say have skills when you're looking at, like you said, in a purist fashion. But when I look at like the outside of how they'll be taken care of out, I don't know. I really don't know, because I think they all get in the mindset of thinking like OnlyFans is the way, and all these like little
That's why I
websites.
told you, there these people got it. Like I said, there's the shoe store. It's a shoe store theory. I always, you either a mom and pop shoe store, which a lot of
Yeah.
these traditional gyms are thinking like, until you put
Hmm.
yourself into like a Nike or Adidas type store, which is that machine, that other mark, that sports entertainment paradigm. Ali Baziz, organizations that will. It's just like Jerry Maguire. Like you understand, like you put yourself with that right agent, what I'm saying, to put you at these levels. It's not like you're still trying to think of like those boutique agents, and that's where your career is going to be. You're going to be a boutique art. You're going to be a boutique, fight. You're going to be not even fighter, a boutique brand. Like unless you intrigued your market that you targeted, and you got the results you wanted, then your business plan was successful. If not, like you need to find people that, because it is possible to be whoever you are. Look at Patty's a prime example. Like that guy is not even the great fighter. You know what I'm saying? But like he just knew how to like talk a good game, like get people would like to see people fall. That's just a sad thing. You know what I'm saying? And he's taking advantage of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then he plays the good guy role by telling you like, yo, I'm about men's health. There's a strategy to it. Like you get them to hate you, but you get them to love you at the same time. And it's like it's just a strategy. And the character, and you can't control how the audience will be receptive of you, but you can control how you react to. So it's like playing fishing. You fish your audience to find where you belong. And some people just think they just need to fight. No, when you just need to fight, you're gonna be a Joe Frazier story. You know what I'm saying?
But do you think there's honestly enough room for every fighter in the UFC to be that way?
Of course.
I think
because
ultimately,
there is room, but the skill set,
right.
Like that's based on the branding too. Because everyone that makes into the UFC, you've made your career. You're becoming a prize fighter. So whatever your goal is after that, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm saying. Like once you make it as being a fighter for your career, as being paid to do what you love, some people that's reaching their goal. That's what I'm saying. Like that's what they're content. You know what I'm saying? I can't control. But if you don't see beyond that, that sets your character as you being in that league. Like where did you want to go in fighting? Like did you just want to hold the belt? Like did you want to be an example to the kids and start, transitioning into yourself, give you a 5-year fight plan where you fight for your best? Like Nunes is doing that. Nunes doesn't
But
even
that's
need
my
to fight
point
anymore.
though. That's my point though. Like in order to start turning that corner, at the end of the day, you gotta win fights. You can talk all the trash you want to. I mean, remember Alex Hernandez?
Mm-hmm.
Alex Hernandez came in talking all the trash in the world, and people were comparing him to maybe Connor in terms of how good he was. He was doing
that's what I told you.
the
That's
right
when
thing on the microphone, and then all of a sudden he started getting trashed.
I'm just
right?
telling
He
you
started
this. What
losing
works for
fights.
someone? What I said. What works for someone? That's what these are. That's what I feel that will fail a lot of these people, because they try to be they try to follow another person's game plan. That's what I'm saying. When in reality, like the real genuine people that will succeed are people that are just being themselves. Like, and it just shows. Like, honestly, tell you the truth, um, like with these fighters, like that are putting on an act, sometimes people will see right through you after, and then that will diminish your brand. That's why it's a risk. It's always a good risk of how you present yourself in today's audience, because you will always be exposed at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing is private once you become in the eyes of the general public. You know what I'm saying? Like everything, when you start ringing names and everything, people are gonna come at you. You know what I'm saying? And if they can't find no dirt on you, they're gonna make it up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to be prepared for that. So it's like unless you know where you want to go when you fight and what you want to do, then you're just gonna keep fighting until you figure it out. And that's what I feel like. Like that's why I like how how Khabib left that when he didn't open his own organization. Man's living boss. That's bossing up. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to fight my whole life. Like that's bossing up. Like that's what you need to think like that.
Yeah, that's
Like
a big part of it too, knowing when to get out, especially for
yeah,
like somebody like Patty. Like Patty, he doesn't really have the skills for longevity, in my opinion.
yeah.
He's the type of guy who can like throw it all on the line
Entertain.
now because he's so popular. He can get as much as he can. He can get more than some of these long fighters, but he's gonna have to know when to get out because his skills are
Yep.
kind of limited.
Yep. I 100% agree with you. Look at that. Look at how Ariel Ryan tried to expose him more. Another interview tried to expose Patty because Patty used to say that Ariel used to try to get money off these interviews and get people. But yet another guy exposed Patty for trying to ask for money for these interviews because that's the way he's trying to take the route. He understands that some people are making the money like this, but he's trying to force it on people. I'm saying like, yo, you guys are gonna do this for me, do this for him, so do this for me now. You understand my value, like, and that's one. I have a good friend I work with, Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne told this to people. He's like, he will charge anything to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to pay 150,000, he'll charge you that. If you want to pay 200, but he won't charge anybody else because the only reason why he charges is because people are willing to pay it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're willing to pay, and building your brand a certain way, take advantage of that when you're hot, because when you're not going to get that. You know what I'm saying? So what Patty's doing right now to ask that's good. It's a good, you understand that, but you need to come up with a different approach though, because being outlandish like that is not going to get you the way you want. It'll get you unless you keep fighting and showing up in your fights, which the UFC can only help you so much after a while with those decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can't stop you from getting knocked the fuck out with putting you in the ring with someone wrong. That's like, that's something that they can't control. But they're still banking on. No, go ahead.
Oh, what do you think? Like, we know, like, even James G was saying, and then I think Slide of Mine in the chat, they were saying, like, not everybody can be a star. They don't have that personality. But what about that other side where fighters need to
No, I'm just saying. No, that's what people are training. Anyone can be a star. You know what I'm saying? I'll just tell you that right now. Anyone, you just got to know your market. There's fighters that have relations to, like, it's like independent artists. You have to understand that. Like, like, everyone is relatable. Everyone has that fighter in them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't know how to market to a certain niche market, like, look at how, like, Kat Zingano came in. When she first came in, she was a soccer mom. She marketed herself as being that soccer mom. You know what I'm saying? So she lit the fire during those times of other mothers that are going to these yoga classes, trying to watch these other people practice. And look at the surge of those type of that mentality of fighters that came into the UFC that are coming into mixed martial arts right now. You know what I'm saying? Kat Zingano started that after Ronda Rousey. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's her whole niche. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are certain things that you have to understand, and you can't control how people are receptive of it. But all you can do is try to sell it, sell it. And if it doesn't sell, go back to the drawing board and go, figure it out. Because if it was that easy, we would all be millionaires right now. We'd all be living our dreams right now. That's what I'm saying. It's not. It's not like that. So it's just everything. That's why I told you, never feel hesitant to put anything out there, because you may think it's wrong, but you don't know how society will be receptive to it. You know what I'm saying?
So some of these fighters, they don't really have. They're great when it comes to actually, performing in the cage. But, like, what should they do? Like, what do they need to get the right financial advisor?
Okay, so they need to. I don't have all the, but first off, they need to hire a good marketing team. Okay, that's first off, because that's where you invest. That's where your your money. When you invest in your brand, like, part of when you pay your gym, you pay your nutritionist. You better make sure you're paying your marketing and your PR twice as much if you're just a starting UFC MMA fighter, or start getting yourself to getting you to, like, people like Alabaziz or Paradigm or Uppercut, or what was that, Rose's brand or whatever, but whatever his name, Butler. So you get yourself with these these are the people that are behind all these real fighters. Why do you think people sign with Bob Arum, or they sign with fucking Floyd, the guy that's always the ghost? I forget his name, but you know who I'm talking about, with Floyd Mayweather and his team. But, like, those are just people, like, it's a level. There's levels to everything. Skills can only go so far. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll just tell you that right now, especially in sports entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Because everyone's an athlete in sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Everyone's an athlete at the end of the day. But what separates an athlete to stars is their branding and their marketing team, right? The skills, we've come so much. Like, I take it to back in the day. You know what is a good way to look at it? Remember the movie Lionheart? Remember the movie Lionheart?
Yeah, I remember that.
You see how they brought Attila to the table by just showing videos? You know what I'm saying? So you're showing these to these organizations, and you got to market, like, look how they got started. When UFC was first running, they started showing videos of Cyborg. You know, like because they were marketing Ronda like this is Ronda's threat is this girl Cyborg, but no one wanted to put her because that's a jeopardizing UFC's franchise fighter. That's the only reason why it would contradict Dana White taking that risk. You know, deep down inside, and it was just more of different organization because she was with, I think it was Counter. What is it? What was the other division that she was in? Organization she was in.
Strike Force.
Strike Force. Strike Force. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So that's what I'm trying to show. Like in this whole thing, like if you don't have a good team like behind you, you know, I pray for you. You know, that's it. That's it. I just pray for you because at the end of the day, you're just gonna be no you're transitioning into managing your own business and everything. It isn't elevating. You can't just be that punching bag making that money. You know what I'm saying? Don't be that punching bag.
A lot of these fighters can't afford
Ronda Rousey's
top-notch
mom even
marketing
put that.
team.
Like Ronda Rousey's mom put that in Rousey's perspective in her head. You know what I'm saying? After she took that kick from she lost to Nunes. You know? Yeah, she just told her, look, leave all those people getting beat up and go get your money in WWE. Your brand is still hot, and it's still hot. I don't care what anyone. Ronda Rousey is still her gaming, you know, and her fucking how she brands in WWE. She's getting paid more than a lot of these MMA fighters that are still like, you know, that are still trying to establish themselves, you know, and she doesn't even have to do as much. You know what I'm saying? She's like a circus now. You know what I'm saying? Like she can live like that, you know.
That's the disappointing part, though. Like
no, but that's when you at the end of the day, I can't even be disappointed about that because I'd rather her be doing something like that than still having to do bare knuckle. Like you can, you know, MMA. If you're fighting there for over 10 years or more, and you haven't established yourself, having figured out a way to be out there, you haven't established property, you haven't got yourself like, bro, like come on, man, like be an example to the next generation, you know, like tell them you don't need to be fighting for 10, 20 years. You know what I'm saying? Look, Rocky's a primary. You want to end up having be like Rocky? Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to be thinking like talking like Sylvester Stallone for the rest of your life or being paralyzed, putting yourself at risk, leaving people behind. You want to get in, get out as quick as you can. And Conor McGregor, what he did going in and out, I give him props for that because he realized, like, look, like he was just hungry. He came from broke, just not hungry. So that finessing people into whatever business propositions he had to do, that was his bread and butter. He's a finesser. He was the best, like, you know, like a magician. You know, I don't look at him as a fighter. He just was a magician. Like he knew how to put things in people's faces and sell it, like a fucking ventriloquist. You know. Like
no, the problem with that though is, you know, a lot of these fighters, man, they aren't making enough money to pay even a mediocre PR team to like really kind of brand them. I mean, and also, you know, first of all, you got to fight your way into like having a brand that's marketable anyway. But a lot of them, if you look at what they're making, a lot of these guys are making on the fight. Say you only get to fight once a year. A lot of these guys are only making like maybe 50, 60 grand on the fight.
Yeah.
And so, like, and then they have to pay their team and have to pay, you know, other fees, whatever. So they are making a lot of money to invest. I agree. It is an investment. If you want to try to market yourself, it is an investment. A lot of them don't, you know, they're behind the 8 ball when it comes to that because the fighter pay is so low for the vast majority of the UFC fighters. And so that's one hurdle that they had to try to overcome. I think that's why, you know, as much love or hate Sean O'Malley, man, he actually did it right. Like Sean O'Malley refused to fight higher ranked fighters while he was under his initial contract because it was low pay. He's like, I'm not getting in there with these killers for the money y'all trying to pay me.
Sean
but he had also
from that generation, that YouTube generation. He's from that generation. Look at his crowd that he hangs around with. This guy does.
But he already had that before he got to UFC. That's
what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. So he understands that he don't have to. His brand is being built already. Some of these people, because that was his initial talent. It's like getting you in the door in that fame door. So now what are you gonna do with your fame? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to show you. It's like once you get that fame, what are you gonna do with it? That 30 seconds of fame when you did that knockout, 60 seconds or whatever, and then all of a sudden, all like Dominic Reyes, what he did. Look what happened with Dominic Reyes after he did John Jones. He had everyone's like, yo, that's the next guy. That guy's ill, you know. But like, bro, he didn't perform anymore after that. You know, he got too wrapped up on that. You know, so it's like, look how fast people will hype you up and watch you, and that's an everyday story. You know, like I don't. That's just how life is. You know, but at the end of the day, like if you understand, remember, you get at least 20,000. You know what I'm saying? At least 20,000 pocket, whatever. When it comes to your prize or whatever, it doesn't. You know, like that. That's enough to even put down on you know, secondary properties. Like, you know, like I don't know what to tell you. You know, like you just got to be smart with your money. Like I can't tell people how to control their own financial situations. You know what I'm saying? But like prize fighting, you do it. You know what I'm saying? But you make enough to make initial investments before you fight again. If not, you don't have a good game plan. And I can't knock anyone. Like I can't knock any. Like I can't control that, right? Like I can only be like, look, like get yourself educated, you know, because this is means of, like, you know, you're doing it. This is your livelihood. You know, if you don't take your livelihood seriously, who will? That's what I'm saying. Like we don't plan to fail in life. Like if you don't plan to plan your life, like you know that's your fault. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the way I look at it. Like you initially like calculate yourself. Look, I initially once that gate opens and I set foot, I make this. I gotta pay this, so I gotta set aside this so I can make this and continue to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like look at it that way. Some of these fighters don't because they're
Well, you
gym
know, the
heads.
sad part is these fighters, they think of fighting is like a 9 to 5 job, and it's not. Like Dana
Mm-hmm.
White, he did say it best once. He was like, you know, it shouldn't be seen as a career; it should be seen as an opportunity.
Yep.
You know, because
Yep.
they just want a career, they can just go to the regular 9 to 5 and do
Yeah.
what a lot of people do. But when you actually get a chance to sign a contract, you need to already have a game plan or thinking of something to say, okay, I'm not going to be here forever, so let me go ahead and get what I can out of this. You know?
Exactly. Like that's what I like. That's people don't understand that. Like they get mad at the organization, but the organization is a platform. It's just a platform. Like they've built their platform, so all that's why I see all these fighters come a dime a dozen. You know, it's the only one that the UFCs are willing to are willing to tolerate are the ones that will succeed in their organization. Other than that, you're getting
Right.
shafted to whatever other division leagues there are. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't understand how that game is played, then you like you said, you can't break rules if you don't know how to play the game. You know, and some of these people like Khabib is a good example, broke the rule. You know, and still like he can still hold face with the UFC after all his accomplishments, and still like that's like you can tell that hurt Dana White. You know what I'm saying? Because that Muslim, you know, crowd it's opening up. Like and Khabib is doing it properly by building an army of them to come into the UFC and take over. And at the end of the day, like he still has Eagle FC. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and he's taking old UFC fighters. So he's conquering the whole like mixed martial art right now. He's doing what he's you know what a bigger plan. You know what I'm saying? So there's a bigger plan to what he's doing. He's become a good coach that's taken over one of the Hollywood's platform of MMA. You know, and now he opened his own, and his own fighters are taking over. You know that league. Like I'm still waiting to see what comes next. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
Like that's just things I look at. You know, like even like like I like I said, I've been watching you know all this prize fighting since those backyard that you used to backyard fights, you know, to UFC ones, you know, like and I'm just seeing the growth now, you know. But then when I saw Mayweather what he's doing and being like, you know, like yeah, as a prize fight, like it's cool to see all these fighters fight. But Don King, like after watching what Don King did to these promoters, Dana White's doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? What Don King is doing to Tyson and all those guys, Dana White is doing to a lot of these people. But it's just that Dana White opened the gate for that now. But
Yeah.
now that there's different organizations, and you know what I'm saying, and it's just who you have in your stable that will sell. You know, like if you don't have a star-studded stable, like some of these people are still selling B-lister fighters. You know what I'm saying? As fights like Ortiz and you know Chuck Liddell again. You know, this to sell like Bellator. Like you know, 50 is even doing that. You know, like that's what I'm trying to show you. Like there's money to be made, but you just gotta market it. But like that's why I told you the only way that that can flourish for real like um athletes to separate the real ones from the fake ones is when you have organization of fights. You know, because now these organizations to put big money on the line to also spread amongst it. The whole new structure of paying everyone is going to be different when you have these organizations and broadcasting right battle, competitions or whatever, prize fights, because now it's a bigger, there's more involved. But now when you just now when you UFC, it's just like having these like those invitational fights. It's just that it's run by an organization, Like in the UFC way they run their whole thing is no different from running invitational fights from any other divisions, leagues, organizations out there. It's just that they're on the top of their top tier. That's it. They're on top of the list. UFC just just basically the top of the list of where you want to fight. But at the end of the day, like it's no different of how any other organizations are running maybe odd few that are running it differently, but it's still the prime basis of the whole blueprint of the business is run similar to the way the UFC's fighting. Who did it. So they just, like I said, they've been there the longest, right? UFC, Pride, all the guys, What happened is UFC bought out their competition. You know what I'm saying? UFC bought out the competition first.
Well, that's the thing. It's a monopoly. That's the biggest hurdle for trying to make the playing field even. It's already a monopoly, right? And like you said, UFC is Hollywood. That's what everybody wants to dream. Everyone's dream is to be in the UFC because there's no reasonable alternative, right? There's no equitable alternative. If Bellator had a similar product, then there would be equity, right? You might have fighters that actually have to choose, like really, top-notch fighters that actually, top-notch fighters and personalities that actually have to choose based on some real, stuff, whether they go to Bellator or UFC. Right now, that's not the case. And I don't know how it changes. That's the thing. I don't know how it changes. You obviously been thinking about this quite a bit. I don't know how it changes given the current lay of the land because people are going to be jumping ship from UFC.
Well, once your contract is over, everything is all contractual, right? Everything is all contractual. It comes down to your paperwork. Like at the end of the day, these people are always showing up in these divisions if they get everything into their best interest. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. Going to a different organization has to be in your best interest, and that's what organization is going to be in your best interest. Like maybe Corey Anderson had a specific.
No, not even. You can look at it this way. Like, okay, so if I do a one fight contract with this division, but they'll give me this for this amount. You control your fights. You understand what I'm saying? I go and I've already established my name, and Bellator wants to get me. So you put me in the ring with this fight that we can get the most money out of it. You know what I'm saying? And that will determine your next move. Like you're gonna have to work like that. If you ain't sustaining on UFC, then now you gotta play hopscotch to find your lane. You know what I'm saying? Like UFC is just the easiest way that if you sustain your name, you have that machine behind you. That's what I'm saying. But you can still have your own brand, building your brand, but not necessarily just doing fights. You're having gyms all around the world. Having a marketing niche that you have about your brand. I don't know, like whatever. But that's based on the fighter, right? Like I said, like the fighter has to think more than just being a fighter to succeed. Like if you feel on just being a fighter and your skills ain't to the way that they are, then like you better reevaluate your future plans. Like that's why I look at like the sports is different now. It's entertainment now. It's not competition. If you want to go, it's not about competition. It's all sports entertainment. And that's what I feel now. Now they took the fun out of the sport now. Now you got to be fun. You got to be that. Look at that guy. Look what I can do, fighter. You know what I'm saying? To actually put yourself in the main eyes of the public.
Oh my God! Can y'all hear my son? I'm sorry.
That's all good.
So even if some of these fighters can't be like that big Ronda Rousey type star, I think that a lot of them are in that good opportunity to at least be comfortable or be like well off. You know what I mean?
Of course. Like you can average 2-3 fights in a year and make outside investments that you don't. What do you think? Like the Garcia family, you know, you see Robert Garcia and all his family, like all those boxers, like yo, they just fight for a living because they make their properties, they do whatever
Right.
they have an outside life. You know what I'm saying? Like all this, like think about it. This is just a like Guida. Look at fucking Iaquinta. Iaquinta's a real estate agent. You
Oh
know what I'm
yeah.
saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, like think like that. Like some people just don't have like they just bank it on just being successful in fighting. You know, and like if that's what it is, then more, you know, and you make it. That's just something that, like Jay Z said, no one will ever think you'll make it until because they only tell you that you won't make it because they can't do it. So prove me wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't do it, and I see you do it, and you make it. Wow, you know I like it. Game changer. You do get you're living a legendary life. If you like, that's what I'm telling you. When you live a Hollywood life, like you're living like that, like make sure you know what you're getting into. Other than that, you're just there for that 60 seconds of fame, right? Like, and if you ain't making smart investments before your time is up, that's your fault. You know, like I can't argue with that. Like there's so many. Everything in the world has been done, and if you can't understand and catch up with that, then like you know, like you just gotta figure out your decisions in life, right? That's what it comes down to. It's one thing
Yep.
to fight, like, but the outside is what you got to be respectful inside and outside the ring. You know, Mike Tyson didn't get after that until he fell out and couldn't do whatever he wanted to do. You know, Dana White had to help him out. Like, yo, let me throw you in a pool of sharks. You know, because people still love what he was as for the sport. But Mike Tyson was one of the closest people that I admire for what he came out of after. The guy gave up on the sport, made his money, but now what this guy doing? He came up Tyson's Ranch, selling weed. You know, like
Yeah.
fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like
The
this
guy
guy's
had
like,
cartoons and everything. Dispensary,
yeah,
yeah,
like
dispensary cartoons. You know, anytime he
yeah,
needs help, he's got like somebody there to back him up. That's good.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
Podcast he's
it's
doing.
exactly that's what I'm telling you. Anything can work in this world today. Nothing surprising, especially when we have Web3, when everyone becomes their own channel of interest and everyone is on this on-demand type of lifestyle. You know, whatever they want to see, they'll tune into their artist. Like I said, religiously, I always look at try to look at what's the next thing that Whaley's list, because no one's ever hyped me up so much for a fighter anyone else that I've seen. You know, like when people try to say that this girl's gonna fight in 120, this girl never said she wants to fight in 125. She never said that. That's just like I said, the press pushing that. This girl, the only right way as a champion is you will say you will take on anything. You just got to word it right. And because of the language barrier is different, people will interpret it in a way like, Whaley's up for that chat and she's going to fight her. She wants to fight her. No, this girl said that, if you put her in the ring with her, she's not going to come up with the belt, but she's going to try her best. That's coming out of her mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like she said that you put me in the ring with her, I may not be successful in taking the belt away from her, but it will be a good fight. No better answer than that. But the way the media twisted, Western media twisted, like Whaley thinks that she's better or whatever, and can take on. No, like what did you want this girl to say? Oh no, like I'm scared. Like look as far as Valentina in 125 at 115. That's scary. Like shut the fuck up. Like come on. Y'all need to understand. Like fighting is more than just fighting nowadays. Like we passed that now. You're a prize fighter. Look out for your health and raise your family right. Don't get lost in the sauce like how everything is nowadays. And that's what I told you. Like a lot of these fighters are coming from third world countries. What do they know about being financially stable at some point? All they know is just to show up at the gym, fight, and listen to their coach.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the mentality that you're dealing with. And that's why to corrupt some of these. Look at Kraus. Look what happened to Kraus. Come on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like this, you're taking people all these under your wing, and then you're like fucking, like Tony, like what's his name? Fucking guy from the Cincinnati Reds. Fucking. But anyways, the 8-man out type story. But anyways, like what I'm saying, you're risking that type of shit. And like I compared that to like a Karate Kid and like Cobra Kai. You know what I'm saying? Like that's I find how people that are training with Kraus, like this guy just.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like people are training with Kraus, but Moreno is the only one. He trained. He just went there just to change to go there. He wasn't really training with them at the beginning. So But like I said, like like I look at the fighters today, and I look at more than them just appearing in the ring. Because at the end of the day, there will always be someone that will show up in the ring. Everyone will have their day. Every fighter has their day in the ring. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
What they continue to do, and what they and the more people that they bring along their journey is what I like to follow, because that's where I know that this direction of way the career is going can go into something bigger than what the sport is. Like I just like to see that growth. I just like a fighter growing from like how Francis Ngannou grew from being homeless and coming. That's a good story. But now what? He's not fighting with the UFC no more. But he understands that like they're not giving him what he wants. Look at his last fight. Last fight the guy got paid in Bitcoin. Now look at Bitcoin now. That shit's dropping. You know what I'm saying? So that's like he didn't get what he was worth, but he got his whole check paid in Bitcoin.
Did you really? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. He didn't want to get. He
I
got
had
his
no
paid.
idea.
So that's what
Is
I'm
that
trying
what
to
he
say.
wanted?
Yeah,
I gotta imagine that's what he requested.
Yeah, he requested. He got it. He got paid in
Wow,
Bitcoin.
that's hilarious.
So that's what I'm trying to show you. These fighters, you are control. You got to learn to have control of your career, because there are people like um, Don King out there still. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
and and this sport is that's what he's built on. When you're in sport, when you're in sports entertainment, there's a difference. There's competitive sports and sports entertainment. Hollywood is sports entertainment. Other than that, when you're in the Olympics, there's no theatrics. There's to sell anything. You're just there as global pride when you fight. You know what I'm saying? Patriotic pride, fight for your country. But when you're in sports entertainment, now you got to sell an image. Sell an image and fight. Like you got here by fighting. Now, what makes you different from all these other fighters now? Because everyone got
Right.
hurt. Everyone got hurt. There's no one in that ring that will ever want to die in that ring. There's no fighter in that ring that will ever want to ever die in that ring. So that's what you pay to see, right? You pay for these fighters to fight for their lives. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh yeah, yeah.
this,
Shoot, that's what I'm saying. Even like with old girl, Molly McCann. Like we know that girl ain't never gonna be champion, but I mean, she
mm,
moving in her lane, man.
Yep,
Her
exactly.
lane
Like,
is
look,
very,
that's a good example.
it's
yeah,
very
before
narrow. It's
Candace.
very narrow, but you know what I'm saying? She's working her magic. She's
Yeah.
she's tagging along with Patty. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying? So they're working that English, like they're like since Bisbing and Darren Till, like all the other British fighters aren't making no names for him, making no noise.
Mm-mm,
You know what I'm saying? Drake brought attention to them in the public, in the pop life now, in the pop culture life. People know who Paddy Pimblett is, and because they gave him the Rolex. People that didn't know MMA know that Drake gave Paddy Pimblett and Molly McCann a Rolex. That don't
we
follow the
all know
sport.
about that Drake curse, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So it's like that's what I'm trying to show you. Like you got to learn to like cross, cross brand you, not even cross, but learn to brand yourself. That's all I gotta say. Like if you gotta go out there and say like, I gotta lose, like Patty's always one of his main sellers. Like, yeah, he can always make weight, but he's always this fat guy can eat whatever he wants and enjoy, but still come out there and not get knocked down and put on a good show. You know, so let him roll with it until he gets knocked out, and then like I said, that's the end of your your niche
Yeah,
that you're
that ain't
trying to
gonna
sell.
last, but
You know what I'm saying? So
credit to
it's
him.
not even going to be the end of it. It's just I want to see what he does to deflect it after. Like, what are you going to do after you get knocked out and you're trying to brand yourself as being this unstoppable fighter? You know what I'm saying? So, and that's the number one thing that people start to when they market themselves that they're an unstoppable fighter. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way a lot of these like dominant fighters come out to. Is like I'm a dominant fighter and I'm coming to unstop until they get stopped. Then you respect what they do after, right?
Right.
Like that's what builds real champions to me. That's why, like, even that
Can
zero
be.
don't mean nothing to me. Zeros don't mean nothing to me in this fight game because it doesn't mean anything. You never shown me what it feels like when you actually are. When you took that loss, and what did you do after? Did you get back up? No, you were never given a chance to. So I don't know whether or not if some guy actually knocks you the fuck out, like, do you actually have the nerve, like how like Tyson Fury when he got dropped by fucking Deontay Wilder and got up like God rose him, like that shit. And that was, you know what I'm saying? Like, as if that's like after a whole year of drinking and binging, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, that guy's a true fighter. Like, something and put him on earth to fight. Like, that's the way he was meant to be out here. They're just signs, like, that this shows, like, okay, whatever. I don't know
that
what
sentiment
it is.
that sentiment is exactly why I feel like I don't have anything against Aaron Blanchfield or Macy, not Macy, but Casey O'Neill. I really don't.
Yeah.
But I want to see them lose because of how they came in with this, delusional confidence. Like, the way they have come in, I want to see how they respond to adversity, how they respond to actually taking the L, and what they do.
It's almost like a movie. You're right. It's like a movie where you see the hero doing so well, and they get too full of themselves. You want to see them get knocked down.
Yeah.
That hero's journey story.
I don't have anything against them. I want to see that play out for their benefit because, like, they're so young. They're so freaking young.
And that's what I realized. Like, and that's like it says a lot for today's generation, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, back in the day, the generation, they would do more action than talking. You know what I'm saying? But now, because you know what I'm saying, now it's more talking than action. Now, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like they need to. That thing is like, fake it till you make it has overwhelming taken over the sport. You know what I'm saying? Rather than just no, go ahead.
And the whole everybody gets a trophy. Like, they don't know how to, because everybody gets a trophy, they never learn how to cope.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, like, it's like everyone, it's like, I don't know, it's like a baby, it's like you're babying today's generation. It's like, no, man, that's what made the grit, that's what made the sport more grittier back in the day. It was like, the reason why people succeed is because they went through these type of, situations. Now I have these people still failing, going through a gym like the PI and still not, making a name for themselves with like the PI behind them and development programs behind them. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are just like, it's just a luck of the draw, right? At the end of the day, it's like, like, we all as competitors, you got to think you're the best, because if you don't, no one else will. So that's why I never take that away from anyone. And when they try to preach that, and I hope you're going into the fight thinking that no one can beat you. But if you're in there thinking like, oh, it's going to be a good fight, well, that's a Michelle Watterson attitude. That's what I look at. It is. Literally, that's Michelle Watterson's attitude. She was making it in there because she was eye candy at the beginning of that division. You know what I'm saying? Dana White gives her out there. Like, how is this girl still in the top 15?
Right.
She keeps winning.
No, because there's not that many people in that division. Like, it's not that it's like she keeps winning. It's just the fact that she's just part of being in that filler part. She's not trying to win a championship. She's not trying to,
You know
what I'm saying? Like, she's there in that filler. Like, she's given these fights that can, like, that when there was that rumor that people were denying fights to fight Whaley, I feel that she was one of them. She doesn't want she doesn't want anything high risk. You know what I'm saying? She'll take anything that's competitive. That's friendly, competitive sport that can be entertaining. When you have two nice girls two girls going into the ring, it's always entertainment. But there's a strategy behind putting the right girls in the ring. Especially if they're not
man.
When it comes to like girls like Watterson, when it comes to keeping her in the league aren't you surprised? Like, how is she still in the division for her accomplishments of her last performances? Like she hasn't, like, there's people that's been cut with work that's shown like less, but that still got cut up quick, So I'm just saying, like you just sometimes, like, I just feel she has a good relationship with Dana. Dana already knows that she has a good relationship with Watson, So it's like,
I like my level. Like, for me, like, I'm surprised that she's still in the division as well, but I don't. It's not that. It's not because of what she's done. It's like she's been so on and off, hot and cold in terms of being active, that I'm not even sure where her head is, where her mind is, where her heart is as it relates to fight. I don't know. It seems weird to me.
Yeah, like, you can never you can never everyone's different at the end of the day. Everyone fights their own demons, you know. Like you don't know what people are going through any given class, you know. That's the appreciation I have for people that actually succeed in the sport, because there are so many things that are behind that, and then like when things happen, it's just like I could already tell why, you know. But those that like prove me wrong, those are the true like game changer stories I look for, you know. Like they're, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
agree because a lot of folks, you know, if you were just not real familiar with the sport, and if you're not real familiar with like the lives of these fighters outside of fighting, you would
Mhm.
look at the case from a casual's perspective.
Yeah.
They see this big major production that is every UFC fight, and
Mhm.
you would imagine that all these fighters are professional fighters. That's what they do, and they're making enough money to sustain their lifestyles, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and they probably are assumed to have these glamorous lifestyles, but at the end of the day, the vast majority of UFC fighters are freaking regular people
Mhm.
working regular jobs. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
freaking Stipe Miocic was a
Firefighter.
heavyweight champion and still working as a firefighter.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
exactly.
so
That's what I'm trying to that's what I'm trying to say. Like, you know, at the end of the day, it's like these fighters are not just fighters outside the ring, but if they only spend their life, some of these fighters actually just spend their life in the gym because they feel that, like I'm talking about those third world Brazilian fighters,
mhm.
Dagestan, like these people just literally stay in that gym because the lifestyle out there is very calm and collective anyway. Like you don't need to work as hard, you know. Like, and some of these people are sleeping in the gyms just to pass life, you know. And that's where Francis. Look at Francis Ngannou was a story that he slept at the gym. Like, you know, it's everyone has a story at the end of the day, but like you know, everyone's different. Like, and that's what I'm telling you. Like we've seen many stories that are all alike, but like the ones that really intrigue me are the ones that are, you know, um, um game changing. You know, that's what I'm trying to. That's where I'm pretty much in the direction I'm going with all these other fighters that we see. You know, so yeah,
Right.
yeah, man. Other than that, yeah, man. Like I said, I got love for the sport anyway. At the end of the day, there's no other, there's no sport better than mixed martial arts. You know. And full contact sport. Like when it comes to one on one combating, you know, like, I'm an appreciative person, especially boxing. My first love was boxing, you know. But when MMA came around, that just changed the whole.
It's different.
Yeah, it's
It's
different.
different.
Yeah,
It
and
is.
I like that. I like that. But look, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of martial arts that are coming from Asia that haven't been brought into the table. That's what I like when Zhang Li presented that in our last interview. You know what I'm saying? There was many martial arts that are being practiced in Asia, in the mountains and stuff like that, that still never have brought. Like, look at all these Shaolin monks breaking shit on bricks and stuff. So why don't we ever see that? Like, I know there's been a Shaolin monk that fought in MMA, but that wasn't like a like real like techniques, because like remember, like the Oriental people are very like um they don't like sharing secrets like that. They'll just keep it in their own teaching, their own environment. You know what I'm saying? This is their truth. You know, that's just what it is. Some of them they don't want to show techniques. You know, they don't show their techniques and stuff like that. So being able to still find techniques, like look how Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu took over when it came to wrestling, when UFC and then first started. You know, like at the end of the day, freestyle wrestling was the main, like, you know, like marketing that style of fighting that they had until Brazilian Jiu Jitsu came along. A big one to show that was when you had Hoist Gracie and and Ken Shamrock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Other than that,
Okay,
man.
yeah, let me okay, Brian put that 10 spot. Appreciate it. He said, I didn't expect this from Six. I thought he was more of a casual, but pleasantly surprised. And honestly, I feel like I've gained something. I know, look, I was reading his comments, you know, since he been in the chat, and I was like, something about him. He looking at the fight game in a different way, because I was always looking at his comments about Whaley being a star. I was like, he
Yeah,
looking at something else that I know
yeah. I
is
don't look
kind
at it
of,
just for. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. I was him looking at it, you know, in a way where he sees these fighters lacking, taking advantage of their potential. You know what I mean? So yeah,
I'm
I
looking from
definitely
like an
amazed.
agent perspective, like Al Baziz, how you been looking. See how passionate Al Baziz went behind Kayla's corner when she was losing.
Yeah,
That's how passionate when I see these fighters making the right decisions. Like do that because like that's how I feel. Like get yourself out of one FC and go into a mainstream because you have a good already following out there. And then bringing it over here and still doing what you're doing and continuing to keep growing and not letting it's just her story that's pretty much I'm explaining. But I'm just saying that's just a story I like to follow right now that's intriguing me right now. Other than Francis, which is not in the UFC anymore. Francis' story was also intriguing me too as well. You know, but I'm still intrigued on where he's going. It's just bad that we're not seeing that Jones and Ngannou fight anymore. But I'm still gonna follow his career. But
Wait a
like I said,
minute.
like
Did that just happen? Like
yeah,
he's
he's a free
officially out of the
agent.
UFC?
Yeah, he hasn't signed with them, so he's not even in the UFC. He's free as a free agent now. Like
Oh, okay,
he
okay.
hasn't signed. He hasn't signed with them. He's still injured. I think his leg or something like that. Like he hasn't signed at all yet. But like at the end of the day, like I said, he might even go into boxing, and that's even a smart decision if he wants to go with Fury. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, how do these boxers that have been fighting their whole life feel when these MMA fighters are coming into and getting a sanctioned title fight? I'm saying for not even putting in the years in. See what I'm saying? What your brand can do. You know what I'm saying? Like what that Mayweather and how that boxing match changed Mayweather and Connor's life. You see what I'm saying? Like build your brand so you can do stuff like that. Like I wouldn't mind seeing like I don't know, um, like look at Cyborg. Cyborg's doing that in her boxing now. Like imagine she's able to build herself to a point where she can fight Clarissa Shields. You know, I would be like I'd have to see more from Cyborg to do that. But if she were able to do that, I would consider her the goat of all women combat sport. Any combat sport, that's Cyborg. Like Cyborg remind me of that. Like just give her the right training and she'll fight you. You know,
okay.
like
I mean, but what are the chances?
no, it's not. It's very,
She's Samurai
very.
or old man. She,
She's
I
old.
mean,
She's old. Yeah, she's old already. Like I'm not saying it's a good chance. Like that's like how getting Layla Ali to fight Clarissa Shields. That's not gonna happen.
that's
It's
gonna
not.
happen.
It's not gonna happen. It's not. I'm just saying, like knowing how with Cyborg and how much like she has left in like I feel that is the type of person that will try to push her managers to try to get her into a type of fight to do a Conor McGregor type style like that. Like do a 6 round fight, whatever exhibition, like do something to get money out of it to get her to build her name first in boxing and to put her against like a girl like Clarissa Shields. And that's to see I would see a next step for her. Because like remember like right now, like if you look at the change of the wave of how the blueprint of prize fighting is now. Like it's changing ever since you have the Paul brothers doing those thriller matches. Tyson did that. That's a blueprint of how every fighter can be their own show. You know what I'm saying?
But
It's just
I mean, I could see Cyborg and Clarissa fighting, but I think it would be more of a
yeah, like a
exhibition
thriller fight,
match.
but still
Yeah,
pay.
thriller.
People will still
Yeah,
pay. It'll still
yeah,
pay.
that's
Like
true.
you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to show you. That route, that's what Web3 is. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, fights were only a lot of the reasons why we don't see it because of broadcasters, right? Broadcasting rights is the reason why we don't see certain things in certain areas.
Yeah,
Why we can't see these because broadcasters aren't allowing it to happen. So when you have these independent things letting you do these one-off fights, it's changing the game. You know what I'm saying? Now these broadcasters don't have full control of what you want to see and what you can't see. You know, that's what I'm very for. That That's why I told you it's that organization fighting. Until someone starts to capitalize on that, we're far away from it. But that's where it should be getting to. Like all these organizations should understand that. Like look at what one championship is about to do their first fight in the U.S. in Vegas, so they opened that. One also has Amazon where you watch them for free now. So they're attacking the American market right now. You know what I'm saying? Like real heavy. They've already killing UFC ratings right now. You know what I'm saying? So
okay,
and
guys,
look
I
at what.
hate to cut it short here. I mean, we've been having a good conversation, but this main event's about to come on. I'm gonna
Yeah,
call
yeah, I
this one.
see it now. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
cool, brother. All right, man.
Hey,
Yeah,
Cabo, thanks a lot.
thanks a
Yeah,
lot, brother.
man. Oh yeah, I appreciate you too coming through, Brian, like always, man. But Six, yeah, man, Six done welcome him, so he's been broken in now. Some of these other guys, y'all can't say nothing. Six been on here, and look, he done kicked some knowledge. He done kicked some knowledge that some of y'all can't even touch right now. So I appreciate you, Six.
Thank you, brother. No problem at all, man. I appreciate everything you do for the community as well. You know, like organizing this and all the work you've been putting, man. I watch you all the time, brother, and I appreciate your work that you put into it. You know,
Hey, thank you, man, and
no problem.
And hey, don't be a stranger, man. Come on back whenever, man.
Of course, man. So yeah, let's watch this championship fight, brother. I mean, let's go watch this main event card.
All right, who you got? Who you got? Real quick, I got Kenyon there, man.
I got Cannonier knockout.
Okay,
Cannonier knockout. Yeah. All right, brother.
Okay,
All right.
Take care. All right, done had Six in the building. Great talk. Just so he know, I'm gonna probably cut this part of the segment out of the stream later, and I'm gonna post it up separate because that's some good information that I think a lot of fighters and a lot of fans need to hear too. Definitely, a lot of fighters and fans need to hear some of the things he's saying so they can look at the fight game in a different perspective and understand, like, to stop cheating yourself. Really, you got to take advantage of that opportunity, right?